we go. I do believe we're live. So, I'll say indeed. And greetings unto you, beloved and holy friends. What a dear pleasure it is to have you here again on another conscious evolution. Another opportunity for us to consider and discuss. What it means to maintain things. I had a whole moment today with myself thinking about maintenance. Our environments need a lot of maintenance in order to remain some sembling of good, appealing, aesthetic, beautiful, nice, lekker. We require a certain level of maintenance for these things, right? Especially so when it comes to, again, our vehicles and our homes, our tools to some extent as well, right? And we have, in some cultures, more of a understanding that is what's required. I'm getting hearts. That's nice. Some cultures have more of an understanding of what's required when it comes to maintenance, right? Especially cultures that actually built the things in the first place. However, because, and this is at least my theory, the idea that I'm bringing into our space today, because we're not the ones who built our own bodies, we don't understand how much maintenance is required in order to keep it functioning appropriately. And while I was laying in my shavasana after today's yoga practice, I thought to myself how wild it is that I get to be a yoga teacher, right? That because of that opportunity, I have been practicing yoga daily. And because of that, I have been inadvertently applying a lot of maintenance to my body. And then I go down this whole rabbit hole of thinking how things would have been if I haven't been maintaining myself, maintaining my well-being. Would I be less well? I close my eyes and listen lovingly with an 88% chance I doze during the stream. It is a weekend. I hope you get some good rest. If you do, doze back, dear show. You did join me for the yogas. That was nice of you. Taking long, deep breaths here. It's raining. I don't know if you can hear the pitter-patters on this side of my world as well. It's been raining literally since I woke up this morning at 5 a.m. The power was not working. Came back on at least. I appreciated that. And it's just been consistently raining like this the whole day as well. I've shared this before that there's corn growing on that field down there. And it makes me extra happy to have all of this rain falling. I stand to gain nothing, right? Not a single cent. However, it still makes me happy that they're going to be happy. The crops are going to be cropping. I can hear the rain. I'm using my headphones and it's super soothing. Oh, that's nice. Good. Some ASMR fractals. I just need to contain my volume. Speak with an extra layer of illustriousness. Illustralizers? Yes. Considering, of course, how it is we maintain ourselves. How it is we maintain our lives, our environments, our sense of well-being when it comes to our physical selves and our mental selves. This morning, when the power went out, I escaped, if you will, my buckets with that foot. And the mosquitoes were really happy about that. They were like, this is great. We love food that is not under a blanket. We love that. That's our favorite. And then they proceeded to have a feast. And then I proceeded to not sleep because I was itching. At least for a while. Right? Then I could feel that, and it did technically break skin. That version of me that would scratch something until it breaks skin. And I was like, this is not maintenance. I'm not being very maintaining of myself right now. Maintaining our sense of well-being. If not in the physical self, in the mental one. I'd like to believe that it's not that hard. I'd like to believe that. But I'd also like to admit that it's probably the hardest thing you'll ever do. I think it is one of those things that have to find some sort of balance in yourself. Life definitely is uncertain. Right? Very much so. And I think that's where maintenance comes in. You maintain, for example, the wheels on your car by rethreading them or replacing them when they get bald, right? For in case you hit a slippery patch of road, or, there's something that potentially would have punctured a bald tire but not a freshly threaded one, right? Saving yourself the potential struggles that come in the future because you weren't maintaining the right now. And I wonder how much of that is precautionary, how much of it can be enjoyed. I think one thing that I definitely can be better on when it comes to maintenance is like the health of my skin. I don't really know how to do that. I shower regularly, and these days at least, put some beef tallow on myself afterwards, but I do know that there is a whole plethora of stuff out there that do apparently help. The rain is very soothing. Love is true. Sending you more soothing energies, dear Connor. This world is being maintained by the water right now. If it wasn't for all of this rain, things would die. It's wild to think how much water is falling in moments like these. Wonder if I can quick maths it. And I don't take this as fact, I'm just curious. There is 200 hectares of property stretching out ahead of me, and it has been raining all day. So far, about 30 millimeters of water has fallen. How much is that in tons of water over the entire property? $60,000 tons of water. So about 30,000 cars. If you could make cars out of water and then drop them, 30,000 of them is falling on this piece of stretch that I'm looking out ahead on. It really is wild to think about it in that kind of context. What it takes to maintain life. It takes a lot of water. I was just about to speak up and say the body being a vehicle comes to mind when I think of bodily maintenance helps me to think of it in that way. Gotta keep the car running. That's the way I think of it as well, Connor. Right? And I even said that in my yoga, so it's beautiful that you bring that perspective into the space today. I was like, it's easy enough for us to maintain a vehicle. It's easy enough for us to paint our walls, right? But we forget sometimes that the original vehicle that we're inside of is this one, right? You're going to put this inside the car. You're going to park the car inside the garage. But you're still going to be the one living inside yourself. If you don't keep this thing running well, then it's not going to run well, is it? And again, I feel like it's one of those things where we haven't really been given the tools or the know-how, at least not by our parents directly, on how to maintain this being. Right? They didn't know either, so I'm not trying to cast shade. And we are living in the technological age, but we're so busy doing everything else that we either forget or just don't know in the first place what is and what isn't good for us. What does and what doesn't maintain the body. I wonder if that will become more important in the future. Are you going to take it more seriously? What does self-maintenance look like to you? Looks like movement to me. Keep yourself moving. Really is the best you can do. Christian just sent me a message. I think I sent him a photo of the farm. No worries here, bro. Just thought about you today and I had to send you a fractal. Sending you love, man. Pa sent me an awesome voice note recently. I enjoy how much he loves me. Good, bro. He does. You're gonna have to be, their son in South Africa. One of their sons in South Africa, if I'm going on that side. You are loved. Sending you big, good vibes. I'm happy that Dad is also in a good space enough to send good fractals to others. Isn't that wholesome? My dad is sending Christian wholesome messages. Listen to that rain. Hey, Kiefer, do listen. And then the part of me can be spiteful. Takes the rain away. I'll give it back. Hello all. This is a reminder to drink water. Good reminder indeed. You bastard. Oh, you like the rain? Turns the rain off. Right past. Oh, there we go. Yes, my simulation pushes a bunch of buttons. Rain just stops outside as well. Oh, bless you, Kiefer. It's nice having you here, friend. How you doing? How's life treating you? We're talking about maintenance today, about maintaining this body, taking good care of it. True, it takes a lot of introspection to learn what is proper, healthy lifestyle to each individual. If I ever have kids, or perhaps with my niece, I will try to teach them to listen to their body. Yeah, I never heard those words, not once in my life when I was a child. Right? Listen to your body. My body isn't saying anything. I probably would have said as a child or something. Feel like I had to find yoga. And even though I have, I'm still very far away from better, in so many words, right? I might be better in like 20 years or so of practicing. I'm good, behind on the maintenance. Oh well, it's good to know that at the very least, Kiefer. What can you do today to maintain your well-being? Can you tell me that? What can you do today to maintain your well-being? I mentioned that one of the things that helps me maintain my well-being is movement. And it does make it a little bit hard for me to move when it's raining out there like this. But I have been bip-bopping around this space. I've stepped outside into the rain a few times as well. I'm very grateful that I get to practice yoga every single day. I'm happy that I get to make art. I posted something to my Zora again. I do need to get better at maintaining that stuff, I feel. I feel like for a technomancer, I don't take it seriously enough. Part of me feels that way at least. But I am critical. I always do things better, I believe. Something. You don't have to be the best at maintenance. You just have to do the maintenance. Good morning, all. And yes, we are often told how to feel and behave as children. Makes for many stunted minds that cannot hear themselves, always listening for input on how to act. Ew. You are speaking a great deal of truth, Connor. And I can't help but feel that even my mind has been stunted like that a little bit. I would like to believe that I do at this point listen to myself, hear myself, but I am definitely longing, I'll say, longing for input. It serves me in some ways, at the very least, to receive some. Getting to hear from other people what it is that's going on. I had a whole moment today thinking about how what I think is going on projects into the world to the point where me trying to read someone's facial expression changes what I see depending on what it is I think. Right? I might be confused with all of the information that's coming into my mind in the moment. And then I can look at someone else, and because of the amount of confusion in me, I imagine them confused as well. When they might just be concerned for me, and me looking at them like they're confused. You know what I mean? Likewise, my friend, feel you, Connor. School teaches us how to behave as a part of the whole, which is helpful, I suppose, in some regards. But parents are supposed to teach the individual experience, how we know our inner selves. But these days, both parents work, leaving kids alone, after school to get into dangerous shit like MMORPGs and those demos ghost shit challenges. MMORPGs and MOBAs, those two. It is true. I'm very grateful I never got into playing World of Warcraft. My parents were never gonna pay a subscription fee for me, right, to play a game online. That was just never gonna happen. However, Dota was free, and that's all. That's all I needed to know. It's still very fun. I do enjoy that game, but it is one of those things where they're so sophisticated. Those experiences, so well tuned, and giving you a steady stream of dopamine that it becomes the only thing you think about. You become very obsessed. I was, at least, very obsessed. Knowing all the things I needed to know. 118 or something, 115 euros. Knowing each of them by name. Knowing exactly what their abilities do. Knowing every single item. Knowing which hero buys which items. Knowing which items scale with others. Knowing which items to buy when your teammates buy certain items. Right? There's so much maintenance that you have to do almost of your knowledge base. And it can feel rewarding when your understanding of a mechanic allows you to have the upper hand in a moment. It's like your maintenance of that database ensured your victory when compromised. And I think it can be that way for pretty much anything in life, but it makes it very definable in a game kind of environment where the mechanics are well defined and easy to understand, relatively speaking. Life is not exactly that way, but can be gamified to the same extent, I believe. Ideally to the point where you actually start enjoying it. I'm very grateful I never got into WoW. I'm actually stunned. WoW is the entire reason my husband and I even started talking to each other in the first place. How wild. Yeah, like I wasn't dissing WoW itself, right? It's a beautiful game. And the amount of communities, as you said, even relationships, the fact that your relationship was built there, that was formed through that interface is beautiful. But however, knowing myself and knowing the way that I am and the way I apply myself to things, if I become obsessed, if I played WoW, I would be thousands of dollars poorer for the subscription fees alone, and probably tens of thousands of dollars poorer for all of the time I had spent, right, in that world. Potentially even buying things online, right, from other players. I do stuff like that too. If I get obsessed enough, I like the hats too. I'm like, yeah, bet. You see the way I dress. You think I would dress myself as a game character? Bet your ass I would. So in that way, I'm happy. I'm grateful I didn't get into it. I completely understand what you just said. I lack confidence and self-esteem, so I perceive people disliking me. I then think people do not enjoy my presence, later hearing they want to see me again. I played quite a bit of World of Warcraft. I actually was pretty addicted, got way too emotionally invested. The interaction with people feel too real sometimes, can take over your routine. You meet real people there, right? That's the big thing. And like sometimes people die even, right? And then you lose a person in your world. And I've seen people, in a way, like memorize people, right? After they had passed in the Dota and the World of Warcraft realm. That's like, wow. That's kind of wholesome. But again, there's a lot of people, many of them dying. Hey Mel, is there anything more you'd like to share about your online gaming experience? You memorized Dota? It's true. Dota was like a big fractal for me, but I feel like that was the only game that really gripped my mind. I played a little bit of Fortnite, just enough to understand why people enjoy playing it. Uh, and then all of the other time I have are like single player games for the most part. Risk of Rain, uh, Satisfactory, Cyberpunk, Witcher 3. I think those are the games that I have the most hours in. But these days, I just find it really hard to engage. It's not giving me the dopamine that it used to. I think a game like Portal, I really enjoyed Portal as well. I think games like Portal could maybe get me interested, but they don't make games like that all the time. Not as good as that was. So yeah, not much online gaming from me other than Dota. So that's pretty much it. How about you? Hoopty hoops, you ever play games? I played quite a bit of. Well, take over your reality. Oh, it's raining today. It is. Itty. Itty is raining. You remember me of the you remind me of the character that Paul Rudd plays in the movie Forgetting Sarah Marshall. Sits back. Paul Rudd's a good-looking guy, but I don't know how I feel about the exact Forgetting Sarah Marshall fractal. I want to say I've watched that movie, but it's one of those movies that clearly made so little of an impact. It's a compliment. Thank you. I'm taking it as a compliment. I am. I'm just more thinking about like the context. I think I remember the plot. It's like Paul Rudd's character gets stumped or something and then goes on a vacation and then meets his ex at the vacation place. That's the plot, right? I think so. Hey, is that Bladham? Bladham, it's been a while since seeing you here. It's nice having you. How you doing? Have you been applying maintenance? That is what today's stream topic is about. The fact that certain things in this world need maintenance. And it's easy enough for us to understand that our buildings and vehicles need maintenance. But it's not always as intuitive to understand that we need maintenance too. I think as we enter this future we're heading into right now, it's going to become a lot more important, right? We're going to start injecting ourselves with things localized, synthesized, sequenced, right? And all of those things will be under the guise of maintenance, right? Update our code, do some maintenance. We do need all the help that we can get, we human beings. Meeting real people in real life takes more patience. I mean, at a stretch of time, a different kind of mind grip takes hold, then time flies. It's true. I've had that experience as well with meeting people in person, hoopty hoops. It's like there's a certain time dilation, right? Like a cohesive mind bubble that is created when people spend time together, when they really are trying to spend time together. I would like to believe that it's possible as well to do that in a gaming environment. But it is, as you said, a different kind of mind space. One that doesn't expect the same level of patience. Because you always have the freedom of logging out kind of thing. And then on top of that, you are also doing something, right? You're in a game world. Like playing Dota with the homies was always fun. And it is a certain social interaction, right? You're spending time with one of your friends. But you don't have to be patient with them trying to finish a sentence or communicate something interesting, because you're already doing something that both of you are interested in, which is the game you're playing. And in that way, I'm intimidated, I'll say even, by the maintenance that is required if you're going to take care of a friendship. It takes a lot of maintenance to keep a friend. I see that aspect. I also experience it while playing games. A wordless gaming session could be hours of bonding with someone you almost wish you could take the relationship further with talking. I mean, people do end up connecting in person, right? Eventually. Also an option. In these last 1,000 plus streams, you've identified 1,400 activities that have been communicated in that way. 1,400 activities that have been communicated in that way. I don't know what that means. In this way, exactly what it is you mean. Maybe if I've identified all of these activities, it's because I've probably allowed myself to weigh them in my conscious experience, right? And I'd like to preface in saying that I've never said, you need to so and so, stop this and that. If you so and so, then this and that. You'll never hear me say stuff like that because I don't know. And it is not for me to say that you're not supposed to play games, right? Because it is one of those things that it is your experience. It very much is your experience. There is, of course, consequences, right? And this is not me being like, oh, if you play games, there will be consequences. It's more like if you dedicate so much of your attention and time to playing games, you might end up having less opportunities to connect in other ways with the world, right? You might see less sunrises and sunsets because you played a game. You were playing the game while the sun was setting. Or you played games for so long that you ended up sleeping in and not seeing the sunrise. Right? And you can see that as a consequence. And again, I feel like that's where life becomes this maintenance. It's like, what do you need to do to maintain your sense of well-being and happiness? Some people need to play more games in order to get there. I don't know if that's true completely, but maybe some people need to do that. Feeding our minds. You need to feed your mind in order to maintain it as well. Right? In that way. Hoopy. Muffin. Bless. That was our first date, Connor. We went to see a movie, then we went back to his place and played Street Fighter, where I kicked his ass 15 nothing. Holy shit. Amazingly, I got a second date. That is very cool of you, Sam. I like how Sam goes over, right? Like, there's like many different types of being. Yesterday, we had a conversation about all of the different versions of yourself that you can be. There was the version of Sam who let him win, right? At least once. At least one time. Just like letting him win a little bit, right? Maybe one time. Nope. Not this Sam, not our Sam. Our Sam, school Sam, just like beats him to a pulp. And he kicks his ass multiple times. 15 times, not one. Victor. That sounds funny. Yeah, it sounds wonderful indeed, Connor. That is a carrot flavored. Nice. My mom makes carrot cake muffins as well. I don't like carrot flavored muffins. Do you choose to be carrot flavored, or is that the way you were made? I was made that way. In my prime, I was beating my little bro in soccer 16-0 every time. I don't know if that's the flex you think it is. I mean, still, it's still impressive that you went 16-0 with anyone. But the fact that it's your little brother makes it feel a little bit, right? It's like me saying that I don't know actually. What does a carrot flavored muffin play? How does a carrot flavored muffin play soccer? I mean, with its little carrot legs, right? Right? I'm gonna take some big breaths. Bring myself back to today's stream topic. What it takes to maintain. What it takes to maintain relationships. A lot. Right. Hi. Hey, Angelina. It's nice to have you here. Or Angeline? Is that right? Angeline. No, I'm not going to make you a mod. I was literally gonna say it before your message came through. No. Nee. Je kan nie 'n mod wees nie. Nee. Dit vat lang. Dit vat baie tyd om my vertroue te wen, Angelina. Baie tyd. Takes a long time to win my trust to the point where you will be given a spanner. All right. At least $20,000 in donations, also appreciated. I'm just trying to give like more gates. Jy trust my nie? No, absolutely not. Not even a little bit. Full disclosure. I want to make a game. You should. You should. Start taking it step by step. There are really sophisticated tools. Learn how to use Unreal Engine, right? You can make a game. One day when I'm 16, one day when you're 16. I think that's why I stopped playing video games as much. I wanted some different experiences I could not find in games. Occasionally come back though to check out some games or with friends. Yeah. It is still something that can play a role in our lives, but I think I think games will have to like step up in level for it to garner the attention of the masses, if that makes sense, right? And I don't know if that's good for us, Connor, associating ourselves with the masses, but games definitely is a niche activity, right? For games to become something that everyone from like the little kids to the grandmas wants to be in, it's gonna take a next level kind of step up. It might be 4 dimensional, I can imagine. Right, we're gonna have to like step it up, put ourselves in a 3D world with 4D mechanics or something like that. I don't speak Afrikaans, but I know exactly what he just said. How dare you? My brain is trying to process so much right now. I'm gonna be right back. Bye. I have to go. It's nice having you here for a moment, Angelina. Reality is always changing. I'm still home alone technically, but I do think my family should be on their way back. I am hearing what sounds like a vehicle, but I don't know if it's them. Hoop de hoop, you saying bye to our friends? That's nice of you. What is required to maintain my focus? An objective seems to be the message that comes to my mind. I need an objective. If I have an objective in mind, I can stay focused. You know what objective I'm imagining? Digging big old half moons into the swath of land that goes down this slope, and then planting little trees in the furthest corner, the furthest curve of the half moon, and then a bunch of smaller shrubbies closer to the start of it. I don't think we need more, like, we're not in a desert environment, so we don't technically need more water capturing. But there's a lot of native, what we call sikkelbos, that grows in this area. It loves to grow here. It's technically its environment to grow, but it is very rough. It is technically a hardwood, but it comes with a lot of thorns. It's very hard to get through. You will mess your car's painting up kind of vibes if you try and go through it, even if you have the big enough tires. You might not end up having tires at the end of it as well. And it's this thing in my mind, right? Like, in order to do that, in order to do that half moon, in order to achieve that objective, you would have to do so much maintenance. You would have to spend a couple hundred, if not $1,000 worth of fuel, with tens of to hundreds of thousands dollar worth of equipment, clearing a bunch of space, then digging those holes. That's a part of the fuel cost as well. And then you would have to plant all of those trees. And then there would be a lot of maintenance involved as well, right? In order for them to develop. There are cows in this area, so if you let the cows just walk, they'll destroy everything. They will just absolutely wreck them. No mercy there. fighting entities to maintain our reality sometimes as well. Maybe not. Maybe those people you said would see sunrises won't. I don't see the point of telling people how to live their lives. I literally started that whole conceptualization by saying I'm not. Literally, dream to. I was literally saying I don't make it my business to tell other people how to live their life. Because I literally don't know, right, what your life is like, where your life is right now, what it is you want to do with your life, right? I mentioned that there is consequences. And it's not a matter of telling you that you will face the consequences of your actions, but it is a matter of acknowledging to myself that we all will, right? If I supplement my current life for a life where I put a pair of goggles on my face and then I just lay in my bed and I play 16 hours of games a day, right? The consequence of that on my life will become evident, if not immediately, eventually, right? And again, I'm not saying to anybody, this is how you're supposed to live your life. I'm almost like acknowledging that reality to myself. Realize that these are the options that I'm presented with. Because again, the future that we're heading into, hoopty hoops, those are going to be the kinds of decisions and questions that we will have to have the mental toughness to consider. It's going to be the only thing left for us to do. All right. If you're wondering why I concern myself with these questions, that is why as well. Sounds like you're talking about swales. I think that's what they're called. You're right, Nancy. I don't know where these supposed to be negative points you outlined. It doesn't seem that complicated. Gamers aren't losers. Did I say that? Did I say that once? I think I said, I'm a gamer. I think that's what I said for a lot of it. I even listed all of the games that I played as a gamer. So if I said gamers were losers, I would be putting myself in that camp. I literally mentioned that I gamify life and that I see it as a game as well that I'm playing as a gamer. Maybe you need to maintain focus. Listen to what it is I'm saying instead of assuming. I mean, I'll poke fun. I'll poke fun back at you. Because the standard of education is slipping, and some people need to be told who. We just went through a national health crisis where the administration was promising a horse dewormer with help. I genuinely think humans like to forget how dumb they are sometimes. Yeah, Sam, even me. Right? I, after quitting Dota, went back to it. Started playing it again. Right? Even after having had that whole moment of coming to terms with the fact that it wasn't going to make my life better. Right? I had to have it make my life worse again in order to acknowledge that fact. Like, and it's scary when you almost like show yourself like that, right? Having to show yourself, as you said, having to teach yourself that lesson. That was the name I was thinking of, Nancy. Thank you. Love is true. I'm swales. Connor, you're welcome. I found out about swales by looking at homesteading channels. Same. That's how I found out about them too, Nancy. There are so many ways of doing things. And I feel like that's one of the big things that I find myself stuck with as well. For instance, since we were talking about the whole games, the way that I see myself as a gamer as well is that I would love to play a landscaping simulator. Right? Put myself on an excavator and then just go to town digging swales, digging swale after swale after swale, right? The better my swales look, the higher my score, the better I get to feel about game well played. But again, that would take some resources. Of course, significantly less resources than playing Dota, which is a free game. Right? You need to pay for your internet, but that's cheap in comparison to having the excavation equipment, renting it, and then paying for fuel. You could potentially build yourself a little food forest, right? Which could add a lot more value to your life than hours in a game would. And again, maybe the comparison causes a certain level of discomfort, right? But today's conversation was about maintenance. And I acknowledged even in this conversation that there is a certain space in your mind that is maintained by the playing of games, right? It's like our minds are very, very vast, still very intelligent, despite how dumb we can be. Our brains are more sophisticated, if you will, than the problems that we face. So we play games to give ourselves a problem, if you will, to interface with clear goals, to get the dopamine. I would like to play the game of reality more. So my mind is right now. Rest physically and mentally. This is a good reminder that it's okay to take a step back for the self. It's true. Very much so. One day I will have something like a homestead. Love it. Thank you, Darren, for the reminder. It's true. Maybe even if all things go the way that we want them to, we can purchase little homesteads together, right? All over the world. Form some sort of coalition. Make it a part of a larger entity. Have that entity provide some sort of service that is valued. Have that as collateral in order to have homes, purchase properties, put people in those properties that have the intention of being custodians, being nurturers, being dedicated maintainers, right? And then we get to make the world a better place. We get to create space in which people are trying to create a better world for those that will come to it. And it might take us a long time, but if we can maintain our focus, we'll get there eventually. I have a room for rent. I'm the entity. I don't know what that means. The entity. As in, you're the owner of the home and you're renting the room? Would be an interesting fractal if you found your roommate in here. Could be a cool synchronicity. Interesting. That would make sense why I have a hard time enjoying games right now. Feels out of balance. Need to continue doing some life maintenance, but rest, like Darren said. I think it, at least in my mind, is the thing that's going to do the best for us, right? Identify something in our life that we can see in a gamified way. And right, like, I can share my perspective. This stream, like, for me, in a game sense, right? Like, people kept in this game of life adding to my notification window, to my to-do list, things that they wanted done, right? Oh, this thing, right? When I had a job, I had to be a certain place at a certain time every single day. And as a good employee, I did that. Went to China, certain place, certain time, was there every time in the certain place. No failure there on my part. And then when I came back, and for the first time, I didn't have school and I didn't have work, and I just had time to do whatever I wanted to. That's where I got into Dota the most, for what it's worth, Hoopy. When I, for the first time, had nobody telling me what to do. I just did what I wanted to, which at that point in my life was smoke weed from 9, 10 a.m. in the morning till I pass out at night playing Dota the whole day. Literally. Like, smoke weed, play Dota, eat, repeat. And I did that for 2 months. And I felt like I was going to go insane. And I evaluated my life. I sat with myself and I was like, okay, bro, you have this empty objective tab, all right? What are you going to populate that with? What is going to be important if you look back at your life? What are you going to be happy that you maintained? And at that point, you friends had already showed me a lot of love in the RPAN space, right? We were reminded recently that Lane was there in that RPAN space before I even started doing my daily live streams. And then I set that as my objective, right? In the game of life, the objective for the next year is do live stream every day, right? And then I have this little floating tab above my head where if I end this live stream, that goes, boink. I did the live stream. Did it. And then after the first year, I realized that in this game that I'm playing, in this life thing, that is a worthy objective. It's not something that anybody expected me to do. It's not something anybody promised me any reward for. It's something that I wanted to do purely because I wanted agency over my own life. And I wanted to do something for the sake of saying that I've done that, right? It's important to me. And the way that has changed my life, playing the game in that way, because as I've played that game, I kept meeting more entities, more vendors, more objectives, more tasks, right? In this world. I've now done work for festivals. I became a yoga teacher, right? And that's now another little checkbox objective. I became an artist, another checkbox objective in this game of life that I get to play every day. And if I do, I feel like I maintained this existence that I'm trying to build for myself. Right? You can build existences in the game world as well. And I do believe in the future that might be one of the things that we do a lot. However, I only imagine it being truly rewarding if you are doing the same thing for your real world. Right? If your body still feels good. If you're doing your yoga, is that Dan Gray? I'm here again. Good morning, bro. We're having a conversation today about maintenance. It's one thing that you said like 4 years ago that I said that resonated with you is that discipline is freedom. You remember that? Discipline is freedom, right? And there is a certain freedom in maintenance. It takes a certain discipline in order to continue maintaining. Might be easy, relatively speaking, to maintain your car. You can take it in and they can have the oil replaced, and rotate your tires, right? Fix something, buff out a scratch. It's not quite as easy when it comes to this living entity that you're in, right? It takes a lot more to maintain this body. And it is your responsibility. Nobody's going to do that for you. In this game, you're the only one that can check those boxes. Zoom, 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 zoom. The D's are matched. We get the confusion again. It's true. I'll have to make sure I read the right one, Darren. Love is true, bro. You can change it? Yeah, of course. Yeah, like it's in your profile settings. Oh, yes. Now we're getting into the good stuff. Daniel-san, you lack discipline. No. That's not the point at all. Not at all. More so, asking ourselves, what does maintenance look like? And in my world, that's why I'm like sharing that fractal. In my world, maintenance looks like a certain discipline, right? I have to have a certain discipline, and it's important for me to maintain that. And if I do, I feel a certain way. And it is probably because of this whole cascading list of personal traumas and insecurities and lacks of childhood approval that now all manifests as a collective of goals, hopes and dreams, motivations. But I do think that's what makes the human experience such a unique one, right? No two people are the same. We can share synchronicities, and it's always beautiful when you do share synchronicity with another person. However, this is your life. This experience you're having right now is uniquely yours, more so than anything else will ever be. And that's the real thing we're talking about today. It's like realizing that your life is something worthy of your maintenance. Because again, there are ways to apply ourselves. The smokes 2 packs of cigarettes, drinks to excess every weekend person that's just like really, really doing their darndest to get to the grave already. And again, that's not coming from a place of judgment as much as it's coming from a place of understanding that there's pain. All of us are in some kind of pain. And we're trying to maintain. It is a kind of problem solving in my mind. But there are many different ways to solve a problem, isn't there? I feel it's one of those things where it's easy to cast judgment. This farm I'm sitting on right now, was technically lost because of alcohol. I did tell you friends yesterday, I think, about the conversation I had with my dad on Sunday after going to that little mountain and staring over this entire space. I was inundated by thoughts of who were here before, how many people had been here before. Who is it that built this home? There are a bunch of old pipes that have basically become disintegrated all over the farm that used to move lots of water to irrigate something. And then I had the conversation with my dad, asking him about the people that owned this property before, and it was a dad and his 2 sons. And he was a vegetable farmer. He grew a bunch of vegetables on this property back in the day, back in the 60s. And the original house was the room I'm living in right now. That was the entire house. And then they built this building with the proceeds of the vegetable farm. And they built that building, and they built the storeroom. They didn't have enough money to actually take care of themselves. The sons, unfortunately, had a bad relationship with alcohol. And the one drank more than they were supposed to, and then they died in a car accident. And then the other son committed suicide because of the loss of his brother. And then the dad completely abandoned all hope as well when he lost both of his sons. And then he started drinking as well, up until the point that he couldn't afford to live here anymore, to continue drinking and live here anymore. And then he sold this place as well, basically in order to kill himself, slowly. All right, and you hear this story. Like, I was like listening to this story after having a very beautiful moment of this place, like just thinking about the pain that has gone through this place as well. Right? What things could have looked like if there was a different way of maintaining our well-being. Maintaining our places, maintaining our hope. I think that's the biggest one. I would like to believe that we're on this little stretch of land to help make it less painful, right? To do good in a way where we undo the trauma that it carries, the hurt that it's seen. And that day, that Sunday, I really did feel that. I felt like the good energies I held in my heart for this place and for all of the people that have been here and will be here was literally like lifting the spirits of this place alongside mine. Maintaining a place. Very spiritual work, I'd like to believe. Discipline? I never touched this. Discipline, I never touched her. Well, very true. Discipline is freedom. Discipline is what allows you to make a choice rather than compulsively acting on impulse. Exactly. And when you make a choice, there's a certain freedom, right, in that. Where, for me at the very least, like after having made the deliberate choice to do a certain thing and having done that thing, it creates a new sense of freedom in my heart to be in the other ways that I'd like to, having known that I did the thing that I was supposed to, right? It's almost like creating your own contrast so you can see more of the light. I like characterizing it as maintenance. Me too. It does have a ring to it, especially since we live in a world where we definitely have been more accustomed to thinking in a mad way. Mel chooses his words. Thanks for sharing your experiences, MeltMore. What's a synchronicity? Synchronicity is a term coined by Carl Jung. Coined it when one of his patients was telling him about a dream that she had about a golden scarab. And then he opened his windows and in fly a golden scarab. And he was so inundated by the surreality of that experience that this woman is talking about golden scarab in her dreams, and then a golden scarab comes in the window, that he coined that term as synchronicity. When thoughts, when things of the mind coincide with things in the outside world. I like playing synchronicity as a game as well. See how much I can notice the synchronicities. Hoopty hoops. When too much current flows, the wire burns up. It's true. The statement was that smokers do their darnest. I don't think they do good for themselves. Verena, hi, it's nice having you. Think of Ellen Watson as alcoholism. Yep. I think he died when he was 62. Hey Google, when did Alan Watts die and why? How old was Alan Watts when he died? How old was Alan Watts when he died and why? Think of Alan Watts and his alcoholism. Destructive activities can call even...
Alan Watts was
58. Can call even masters of thought and presence. I heard he was tortured by the world he could see, but never be in the higher dimension. It's true, Connor. That was beautiful, Mel. Thank you for absorbing this love with me. Yeah. 58 when he died. The immediate cause of death was reported as heart failure, which was linked to his alcoholism. There it is. Right, and again, to echo the sentiment of like, I'm not trying to cast any judgments or saying one thing is right or wrong or trying to put myself in a place of superiority. When it comes to like minds that I admire, Alan Watts is amongst the 5 that I admire the most of all people, right? Like his ability to articulate Western thought, Eastern thought to the Western minds, right, was exactly what I needed to expose myself to those ideas when I did. And as a result, he'll always play a massive role in my life. But again, I'm not going to take him as a role model. And especially that way, because I know with my information that drinking that much whiskey isn't going to be good for my body's maintenance. And I do not want to die at 58, right? My dad is 55. My dad is 55 right now. That would mean he would have only 3 years left if he died at the same age as Ellen was. If my dad died at the same age, right? That's horrifying. Absolutely horrifying. And still, doesn't make me admire him and his mind any less. If I had to have a conversation with him in the moment, I would probably be just as vocal about the drinking. He probably would not listen to me, I could imagine. But I'd still try. Still have to say something. And again, that's where the ego comes into play. You cannot save anybody. That's the reminder that I have to keep finding myself at. Maybe I wouldn't say something. I can feel myself like literally gritting my teeth. Like for some reason, I'm imagining being there to actually have a conversation with Alan Watts and just being like, watching him pour his third whiskey and me. No, don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Don't say anything. Thanks for sharing that, Melt. Generational trauma and men who struggle with alcohol. And my dad's side is a whole legacy. But like I said yesterday, the lessons learned are irreplaceable. Despite the overwhelming pain that the family has caused, who am I to question my karmic predicament? Now, it's not to question why, but to question how can I be better despite all of these karmic predicaments I find myself in. No longer will it be said that the fathers have eaten sour grapes and that the children's teeth are set on edge. Your father's sin are his own, and you are not held responsible for them. Love is true. I love to see a healthy ego response. It's good. Good to have an ego. Hoopty hoops. I'm all for unity consciousness, right? But unity consciousness is the part of us that's conscious. The part of us that's ego is the part of me that's meat, right? The stuff. Like I release chemicals, right? Some of them cortisol, some of them adrenaline, dopamine and serotonin, DMT even. Can you believe? Yeah, your body produces that stuff naturally. Your lungs help. frequencies have something to do with it as well. We are more than we can know. Ego is but a sliver of the fractal, especially the one that talks. Alan Watts had the gift of gab. He's one of those people who can explain the whole thing better than most, but that doesn't mean he's a model for living. You are your own model for life. Isn't that true? Life is living you kind of stuff. How hoop de hoops. It is a surreal thought when you really surrender to the thinking of like, oh, I'm not living life right now. Life is actually living me. Life has had infinite experiences. And out of all of the infinite of experiences that life could have had, one of the experiences that it wants to have right now is me. As I'm having this experience right now, as I'm looking at the birds sitting in the rain out there, as I appreciate how much has fallen just today. That line is at what it looks like at like the 60 mil mark. It has just continued to go up as we've done this stream. So much water. I had a whole moment the other day when I went for another walk. This little space that I would love to build myself a home. And for the first time, as I was there, I was thinking about the water. Right? It is technically on a hill, so I wouldn't have to worry necessarily about flooding, but angles, right? The way the water moves suddenly became more clear to me. I have been walking the little water channels. The world is green. And I'm happy that I showed up with you friends today. Who we talking about now? I walked away to peel an avocado. I don't know if we talked about Alan Watts a little bit, it's true. Same old, I heard that Alan Watts was a great bodhisattva because he accepted himself for what he was. He was a great teacher, even and perhaps in part because of his faults. It's true. He would drink even during his lectures, and it wouldn't change his teachings. Maybe it would influence it, but his teachings were still valuable. Right? And as you said, in that way, he did accept himself. It's really interesting, Connor. He could maximize being an alcoholic just by accepting it and not fighting against it. That is what happened. That literally is what happened. He was like, oh, I like drinking, so I'm going to continue drinking. Is it bad for me? Yes. Do I care? No. Because I like it. And that's who I am. And as we said, that is admirable. But to echo yesterday's stream topic, it's not the person that I am or want to be. I recommend one conversation at a time. I recommend you have many different channels open, many different tabs. All right. I don't know if it's good for us, hoopties, but I do believe it's going to expand our minds so that we can, in the psychic realm, juggle many different pins at the same time. work many different pans in the kitchen. I appreciate you, friends, for joining me today. It was a fun stream. I enjoyed it. It'll now be time for me to show you a flower, one geometry one, and then I'll read you a poem. Very interesting indeed. Discipline to choose our life the way we want to live it. Focus on the maintenance or the experience, but ideally balance the two. Realize that in order to continue having the experience, there will be some maintenance required. I think that's the big thing for me today. You're right, Connor. Or they are the same in the end. No, I think you got it. I'm trying to find a very specific design element. There it is. See if you can see what I'm looking at. Alrighty. Now for some poetry. Hard ties. I thought you were sleeping, Joe. It's nice to have hard ties. You probably was like, oh, no, hard ties, or something. All the selves who brought me here. I have lived so many lives already. The child with wild plans, the teen chasing constellations, the young adult certain the future would follow their script. Those old selves dreamed brightly, but their maps did not survive the weather. Life shifted. I shifted too, and somehow that was right. They only knew the horizon from where they stood. They could not see the storms that would teach me strength, or the quiet moments that would teach me peace. I do not live the life they imagine for me, but I carry their courage and their hunger for wonder, not to get to choose who I am in this moment. Now I get to choose who I am in this moment. Not someday, not when everything is perfect. Here, right now. And I choose hope, not as a promise of certainty, but as a way of walking forward with the light I have. If tomorrow brings a new self, I will welcome them. But today I am existing exactly as I need to be. I appreciate you, friends, for existing here alongside me. It really is a pleasure to be in reality with people that likes being here with me. I appreciate it more than I can say, truly. Beautiful flower, water design today, how I was feeling in the stream, good with the flow. There was even a whole fractal of the map, not surviving the weather. Very syncy. Thank you, Connor. I appreciate you for joining me. I'll see you friends again real soon. All right? Tomorrow. Goodbye, dear ones. Darren says, water runs through the hills and canals of the skies. Follow the path of the fellowship. Seems to relate to the art. I've been looking at the grooves in the mountain as well, imagining all of the water gathering inside of them. We're on the same frequency, Darren. Hope I appreciate you. Love is true. Farewell to you too, Dan. Thank you, friends. I'll see you again soon. Goodbye for now. Cheers. Bye.